Ghislaine Maxwell is back in the news. We like to check in on her case every now and then because this is probably going to be the case that just never ends. And it's like really never going to end now because the government has indicated that there are 3 million pages of documents that are going to be going her direction. So this story came over from Newsweek, believe it or not. And I want to go through it, but I want to just frame this out, right, a little bit. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's number 2. She has been charged with several different sex charges for trafficking in underage minors. I think there's a 4th victim that just got added to her a superseding indictment. And so she has been in custody since about the middle of last year. And she has some powerhouse attorneys that are working on her case. It's been very interesting to follow along and just see kind of how they do things because it is extremely aggressive. And right now it's looking like this thing is turning up to a new level, a new notch. The government is disclosing nearly 3 million pages, 2.7 million pages of documents. And I can't even tell you how many documents that is. I have some examples, but I want to just frame this out, right? This is a Jeffrey Epstein case. This is national news. This is something that many people are speculating might implicate some of the highest people in this world, like the, Prince of England, right? And other people, even, politicians and some of the billionaires and multimillionaires around this world, all could be connected to some of this stuff, which is why people are so interested in this story. But that's not what Ghislaine Maxwell is being charged with. She's being charged with several, basically trafficking in minors, some sex crimes. These are not crimes of the century, okay? These are crimes that happen every day all over this country. And I've represented people on these types of crimes. I've represented people on sexual assault charges and all sorts of sex crimes and all of it. I have never gotten 2.7 or 3 million pages of discovery. Okay. Not even anything close to that. Not even anything with 7 figures, even 6 figures. I've never gotten 100,000 pages of documents on a sex assault case. Okay. Not even 100,000. She's getting like 2 million, 2.5 million, 2.7 million. It's ridiculous. Let's go into this. This is from Newsweek.com. Says Ghislaine Maxwell's prosecutors have disclosed 2.7 million pages of evidence to her lawyers in the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking case. The British socialite is awaiting trial in July, we'll see if that happens, on allegations she groomed underage girls for New York financier to abuse. Maxwell, a friend of Prince Andrew, denied the original allegations and is expected to enter a plea to a new indictment containing claims from a 4th victim later this month. Her lawyers have repeatedly complained about her not having enough time to work on her case while in jail in Brooklyn. Now prosecutors have revealed the full scale of the mountain of evidence in this case, which stretches to within a stone's throw of 3 million pages. 3 million pages. A letter by U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss reads, as the court is aware, the government has produced to the defendant more than 2.7 million pages of discovery pursuant to various obligations. And I want to point this out. There's this law firm called Boyce, Schiller, Flexner. Revelation emerged as the prosecution objected to a subpoena that was submitted by Maxwell's lawyers. So Maxwell wants to subpoena Boyce, Schiller, Flexner, and the government is objecting to this. This law firm represents Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre and a number of other Epstein victims. Her team wants the disclosure of personal information from the victims, but the prosecution objected to the legal process the defense team had used. So you've got multiple parties, right? Typically it's the USA versus the defendant. So here we use that by a triangle. And now what happens is the defendant is now reaching out to the law firm, and the government, who is prosecuting the defendant, is now intervening down here to say, no, we don't want this subpoena to happen. We want to send you back and basically not allow you to do that. So among the complaints, Strauss requested any evidence be kept confidential to protect the victims. Her filing read, so this is the prosecution saying, no, we want to get involved. We don't want the subpoena to happen. Why? They say, as noted, the subpoena appears to call for a substantial amount of sensitive personal information about the victims. For instance, according to the letter, the subpoena requests the original complete copy of the victim's diary, right? Which is obviously very expansive. So you've got the defense saying, well, we want access to all of this stuff. These victims are claiming that we did stuff to them, and we want evidence about that. We want information about it. Government says, nah, you're not entitled to any of that because it's too sensitive. These are victims. Victims have rights too. You don't just get to go in and comb through their email accounts. right? They're victims of a crime. We're not going to add insult to injury there. And so let's take a look at what's going on in the case. This is over from the federal court docket. You can see here a lot of activity over these last couple weeks. March 29th, we got a letter from Ghislaine Maxwell to the judge. We have Court of Appeals fees received $505. So they filed a notice of an appeal over here. Then we have a letter from Boyce Schiller Flexner, which is the law firm representing other people. That's addressed back to Ghislaine Maxwell. So this is surrounding the subpoena. We have a letter by Maxwell to the judge about the second superseding indictment. So they're trying to schedule their arraignments. We have a motion for Sigrid McCauley. So we have a new attorney who's joining the Ghislaine Maxwell team. She's appearing pro hoc vice. Then we have an order. Ghislaine Maxwell, this is her superseding indictment. So we have an S2 superseding indictment. We have a status conference. It's scheduled for April 16th. So that's going to be in about 9 days. The government is ordered to respond to issues. The court is making logistical arrangements and will provide more information when that is available. So defendants raised an issue on their March 31st letter, which must have been down here. And so the government now has to respond to that, and they have to respond by April 9th. So that's 3 days from now. So what we're going to take a quick look at are going to be two things. Number one, here we have on April 5th, we had an unopposed request for a 1-week continuance of the arraignment. So there was a letter basically from one of the attorneys saying, I can't make that arraignment. Can you move it a week? So that is uncontested, not interesting. Then we have two things that are somewhat interesting. So this here on April 5th was the letter from Judge Allison, or a motion to Judge Allison from the U.S. Attorney's Office, basically trying to quash this subpoena, trying to not allow the subpoena of that second law firm, which is representing some of the victims. But then we also have this letter, which is interesting. So we're going to read through this one. Letter by the USA as to Ghislaine Maxwell that's addressed to the judge. So the prosecutors are sending this about the conditions update on Ghislaine Maxwell. So she's in custody. And recall, at the start of the show, I sort of framed this out, but I said Ghislaine Maxwell's been in custody for some time. She's been trying to get out of custody. She's filed 3 requests for bond. All of it have been denied. She's been considered to be a flight risk. Obviously the case. She's got a ton of money, ton of assets, different citizenship, around the country. Obviously a flight risk. Jeffrey Epstein had the same situation. He's dead now, apparently. And that's not something where, we're running out of people on this case. And so the judge just does not want to risk letting Ghislaine Maxwell out. But her attorneys are putting up a hell of a fight. They're saying she's losing hair, she's losing weight. This is not conducive to her health. And she also can't even participate in her defense. And so what they're doing is they're laying out a bunch of appealable issues, right? When Ghislaine Maxwell goes to trial and she gets convicted of something, then what happens? She's going to appeal. Ineffective assistance of counsel. I couldn't even prepare for my case. The government had all these very strict, unnecessary conditions imposed upon me, but not the guy down the hall. It's a violation of my equal protection rights, and I'm going to appeal and due process. I mean, they're framing that out now. So this case is not going away anytime soon. But the court is recognizing that her being in custody under these conditions might in fact be problematic. And so they want the government to give them an update. Maxwell is in the government's custody. The defense is saying all of these bad things are happening. The court says, all right, government, I want an update from you. Are these things happening? What is her condition? How is she doing? So we're going to read into that. Before we do, I want to show you quickly this letter, which is the first letter that we were talking about. So as you'll notice down here, that quote says, as the court is aware, the government has produced to the defendant more than 2.7 million pages of discovery pursuant to the government's various discovery obligations, including Rule 16. They're also in discussions about the timing of further productions by the government, including material provided to under U.S. Code 3500. All right, so 2.7 million pages. I wanted to just kind of frame that out a little bit. 2.7 million pages. I have a copy right here of the 4 agreements, and this book is 140 pages. Okay, small book, 140 pages right here. You can read this in about 2.5 hours. And I have bigger books around, but I don't have them in front of me right now. But I did some math on a couple important books. So if you have 2.7 million pages of documents, and we know that the 9/11 Commission report, which covered, one of the most consequential things that happened in this country ever, in all 300 plus years, whatever, however long we've been around, long time. That book that summarizes all of the government's work gets consolidated down into 585 pages, right? So 2.7 million documents divided by 585 pages. That means Ghislaine Maxwell got 4,615 9/11 Commission reports of discovery. 4,615. It's a lot of books, a lot of discovery. Let's put that in Holy Bibles. How many Holy Bibles is that? You know that book, right? Thick book. Sometimes not even that thick, but the paper is just thin. You pick up like 4 pages at a time because they all stick together. Massive, lot of material. 1,281 pages. So Ghislaine Maxwell got 2,107 Holy Bibles of discovery for a sex trafficking case. Okay, this is a pretty basic thing. Was there a person? Did they get transported? Somebody sleep with them? Was the purpose of the transportation for the sex, or sleeping with them, or having sex with them, or doing sex stuff with them? Yeah? Okay. Prove it. Get some evidence to prove that up. What do you need? Some flight logs, couple witnesses. Pretty easy. 2.7 million pages, 4,600 9/11 reports, 2,100 Holy Bibles. It's a lot, and it's absurd, really. And this is going to, it's hard not to get into the conspiracy land about any of this stuff, but it's like, what does the government expect? What is the response going to be here to this? The defense attorneys are going to say 2.7 million pages? Are you out of your friggin' mind? What are you talking about? It's so burdensome. It's so much material that they're going to make a whole new slew of claims, and they're probably going to say, yeah, you're right. We need to review 2.7 million pages. So you better let our client out of there, because we're going to be reviewing this stuff every day, 24 hours a day. So she's got to get out of custody. And and the judge wants this trial to start in July. I don't know how many pages Ghislaine can read a day, but can anybody read 2.7 million pages between now and June? Guessing not. Okay, because between now and June, you've got how many days? Let's call it 60 days. So that means you have to read, I don't know, 60 days, a couple hundred Holy Bibles a day of discovery. It's impossible. It's impossible. And the government is saying that they're going to deliver 2.7 million pages of documents. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. And we'll see where that goes. Now, let's leave that one behind. 2.7 million pages is ridiculous. Now let's talk about this next document. So this one is 6 pages, and I want to show you this one. This is being sent by the U.S. Attorney's Office, Southern District of New York, filed on April 6th, so yesterday, sent to the Honorable Allison Nathan, U.S. District Court of New York. U.S. versus Ghislaine Maxwell. Dear Judge Nathan, the government respectfully submits this letter to provide an update regarding the conditions of confinement for Ghislaine Maxwell pursuant to the court order on December 8th. This update is based on the information provided to the government by MDC legal counsel regarding the conditions of the defendant's confinement over the last 2 months. So they got to give an update. And here's what they say. She continues to receive more time to review discovery than any other inmate at MDC. And the defense is going to say, so what? We don't care. It's not enough. Specifically, the defendant is permitted to review her discovery 13 hours per day, 7 days per week. During the entirety of that time, the defendant has access to both a desktop computer provided by the jail and a laptop computer provided by the government on which to review discovery. Also, during those 13 hours per day, the defendant may use the MDC computer to send and receive emails with her attorneys, which is a very nice benefit. We have this per BOP policy. All inmate emails are routinely purged every 6 months. In response to complaints from the defendant and the defense counsel prematurely deleted emails, they have examined the inmate email account. Examination revealed the defendant had herself deleted some of her emails and had archived others. That examination revealed no evidence to suggest that MDC staff deleted any of the defendant's emails. So they're clearing some of that up. This discovery review takes place in a day room that is separate from the defendant's isolation cell. Accordingly, she's permitted out of her cell from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. While in the day room, she has exclusive access to the laptop and television and a phone on which to place social or attorney calls and a shower, which isn't bad. It's not bad. Defendant is also permitted outdoor recreation every day, although she has the option of declining such recreation time if she wishes. She also has as much time, if not more, as any other inmate to communicate with her attorneys. She receives 5 hours of video teleconference calls with her counsel every weekday for 25 hours of attorney calls per week, which is a lot. but they have a lot to get through. At times, unexpected incidents such as institution-wide lockdowns or short staffing delay the arrival to her call with counsel by up to 30 minutes, which they're going to throw a fit over. When such delay occurs, however, MDC permits the defendant to make up for any missed time either by extending that day's call or by permitting extra time on the next call. All of these calls take place in a room where she's alone. No staff can hear her communications with counsel. During these calls, they place a camera approximately 30 feet away from the door to the room where she conducts the calls. Camera has full view of the door to the room, but not in the room during the closed calls. Does not capture any sound or video. In other words, the camera records who enters and exits the room, but does not record activity inside. She's also permitted to use the phone to call her attorneys as needed. Counsel now has the option of meeting in person. And on or about February 16th, that's when they resumed. As a result, they're now available 7 days per week. They got a HEPA air filter in the attorney visiting room. She's also got the COVID vaccine. So Ghislaine Maxwell has a COVID-19 vaccine and is fully vaccinated, which is good news. The government understands the defense counsel has thus far declined to meet in person and instead rely on the calls, email, and supplemental phone calls to communicate with their client. The option of in-person visits remain available if they choose to meet with her in person. But that's not what this is about. This isn't really about meeting with her in person. This isn't even about talking about it. Do you think Ghislaine Maxwell is going to read 2.7 million pages of documents? No, of course not. Neither are her attorneys. But they're going to tell the court they need to, and they're going to make the claim that this is all part of due process and that she is not being granted access to a fair trial if she can't review every single sentence in there. So the defense is now saying she needs to show up to every one of these meetings, and if she's late, they're going to make a note of it, and they're going to say that's denial of access, right? Non-access to your attorney, you've got right to counsel, which is pretty well ensconced in our Constitution. So this is all about sort of just mucking this whole thing up. And they're doing a pretty dang good job. She's getting a lot of benefits that most people do not get under any way, shape, or form. The legal mail is processed in the same manner as all mail for other inmates. Due to the large number of inmates, the volume of mail received, it can take multiple days, as noted. She's able to send and receive emails, so they're giving her that option. Like any other inmate, she's patted down by staff whenever she is moved to a different part of the facility. They include at least 2 pat-down searches of the defendant per day, one when she is moved from her isolation cell to the day room each morning, and once when she returns from the day room to her isolation cell each night. When she elects to attend outdoor recreation, she's searched 2 additional times, once when she's moved, once when she returns. They also conduct a body scan, which is a non-invasive machine scan on the defendant once per week to check for any secreted contraband. Because those scans take place in a different part of the facility, she's also patted down 2 additional times when those scans occurs. Once again, once when she's moved, once when she's returned. She's required to remove her mask during the pat downs and open her mask briefly so that they can look into her mouth during the searches. These mouth searches are consistent with policy. In the absence of in-person visitation, the defendant has not been strip searched. If she receives in-person visits, then she, like all other inmates, will be strip searched after any in-person visit. Right? So they can check for contraband. In addition, staff search the defendant's cell for contraband once per day. At night, they're required to confirm every 15 minutes that she's not in distress. To do so, every 15 minutes, staff point a flashlight to a concrete ceiling of the defendant's cell to illuminate the cell sufficiently to confirm that the defendant is still breathing. Every 15 minutes, she gets a flashlight in there, making sure she's still breathing. At night, staff has observed that the defendant wears an eye mask when she sleeps, limiting the disturbance caused by the flashlight. Additionally, staff have observed the defendant regularly sleeps through the nighttime wellness checks. They continue to be full view of all of the searches that are necessary for the safety of the institution and the defendant. The government also inquired regarding certain complaints defense counsel raised in February regarding the food, water, and physical well-being. In response, MDC legal counsel said the government that the defendant's meals arrive in containers that are both microwavable and oven safe. The meals are heated in a thermal oven. The tap water is provided by New York City. As a result, when the city has conducted maintenance near MDC, the water has been temporarily shut off. During those periods, staff have provided all inmates with bottled water. Water's turned back on. Sometimes it's cloudy or brown and needs to run for several seconds. Doesn't sound good. Staff have not observed any instance in which the cell did not clear after being run for several seconds. That sounds like good water to drink. Oh, no. MDC legal counsel emphasized that MDC staff including the legal staff, drink the same tap water from the same tap water that the defendants drink from. MDC medical staff monitor her daily, weigh the defendant at least once per week. Weight has fluctuated between the 130s and 140s. Lowest weight observed was 133. Since then, it's back up to 130. It's never been lower than 134. Most recently, she was 137.5. She's 5'7". Lowest weight of 133 even resulted in a BMI that was okay. MDC staff have not observed any noticeable hair loss either, so they're responding to that. Received a COVID-19 vaccine, fully vaccinated, and they say that she is physically healthy. Should the court have any questions, let us know. This is the U.S. Attorney, the prosecutor. Let's take a look at this little footnote over here. Following the defense counsel's complaint in February 16th of an inappropriately conducted Pat-Town search, MDC conducted an investigation and found that, contrary to her claim, the search in question was in fact recorded in full by a handheld camera. So they're recording themselves. After reviewing the camera footage, they concluded the search was conducted appropriately and the complaint was unfounded. Legal counsel further confirmed that all further searches are video recorded. Following this incident, staff directed the defendant to clean her cell because it become very dirty. Among other things, they noted that she frequently did not flush her toilet after using it, which caused the cell to smell. In addition, the defendant had not cleaned her cell in some time, causing the cell to become increasingly dirty. Staff directed the defendant to clean her cell in response to the smell and the dirtiness, not as a retaliation for complaining about a particular search. So that's what's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell. Things are going to get interesting in that case. We're going to see what this judge decides to do. I'm not particularly inclined to believe that the trial will happen in June, but we'll see. All right, let's take a look at some questions before we wrap up today. We've got some of these coming in from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. All right, and we've got some chiming in. Two quick ones, looks like. We got Sasha Sisha in the house, says, Rob, I'm not going to lie. Each time you present any documents or video on a case, I hear the Law and Order theme song play after. Dun dun! Also, I'm sure the defense lawyers for Maxwell can read the 3 million pages in a week. Considering Congress can read the 5,000-page bill in 2 hours, if they can do it, we can do it. Just nice, excellent comment. That's like a 9.5 out of 10 comment. Very good comment. A lot of good stuff there. The dun-dun Law and Order stuff. And yeah, if Congress can read 5,000 pages in 2 hours, Ghislaine Maxwell's attorneys, who are probably like, 100 times smarter than any member of Congress, can probably read maybe 1 million pages in 2 hours. So yeah, maybe a long weekend and they'll just be able to read through some of this stuff. And then lastly, Ma Fox says, by the way calculated based on a question on locals, 2.7 million pages would amount to a 900-foot high stack of papers. No crinkles, no air between the pages. That's outstanding, Ma. That's kind of what I was trying to do, but you did a much better version of that, right? I wanted to kind of hold up the book and say it'd be like 6,000 of these books, but nobody knows what that even looks like, right? What does 6,000 books look like? Nobody would even know. 900 feet high. So we want to quantify that. Like, what building is 900 feet high? Let's look real fast. Let's do this real quickly. 900-foot tall building. Let's see what we've got here. All right, we've got some 900 feet would be like 300 meters, right? And so here we can just poke around on Google Images. So 300-meter building looks like this from Slate. So 397 meters, 1,302 feet. So almost that high. So about 3/4 of this building is how high that would be. So we've got the foundation started. Farewell International Center is 1,300 feet. And so according to Ma Fox, we got 900 feet. So just slightly smaller than this building. So about 300 meters would be right about here on the line. So Ghislaine Maxwell, in other words, has a skyscraper of discovery that she's got to read through, her and her defense attorneys, all 2.7 million pages of them. And that's a great way to wrap up the program today. Thank you, Ma Fox. Thank you for all of you who asked questions over at our platform on locals.com. You can see here the addresses, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Big thanks, big ups to Miss Faith Joy and to Ma Fox. And want to congratulate Miss Faith Joy on her TikTok. Go check out her TikTok. doing some good stuff over there. And we also want to say thank you to those of you who have been here today asking great questions. Let me give some shout outs to Want to Know. We got the Mariner over here. We have No Doubt, saw him today. Who else did we have? See the Veils usually here. We have Adelvan, Fang number 3. Hello to Danger Mouse in real life. And let's say hi to the people who just signed up. We have Deep State in the house. Welcome, Deep State. Welcome to the community. We got Justice First. Welcome to you. Rob Frowley in the house. Good to see you, Rob. We got Mick Lenko. Mick Lenko's in the house. And Mr. Zeus joined up. Everybody's chiming in over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com, which is the place to get a copy of my book, which is right here. It's called Beginning to Winning, How to Fight Your Case and Succeed in the Criminal Justice System. You can also download a copy of these slides, the PowerPoint slides. They're all available over there. The impeachment party documents are still available. They're pinned at the top. The Existence Systems program is basically done. I have the online course. It's built. I just have to work out a couple of the final kinks. So we're going to work those out, and then I'm going to try to get that launched here very shortly. There will be a nice promo code over on locals.com as well. We share links throughout the day. I'm going to be trying to be getting better about being a little bit more active over there, but I am so focused on the Chauvin trial that it's hard to do two things. But the real reason is the great people. A lot of great people over there. So go on over there, check us out. watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And that's it from me. But before we leave, quick reminder that I am a criminal defense lawyer. That's my day job. I'm here at the law firm, R&R Law Group. We're in Scottsdale, Arizona. We've got a great team of people here. We love to help good people who have been charged with crimes find safety, clarity, and hope in their lives and in their cases so that they can get things back on track a little bit more quickly without as much damage as the system might otherwise like to impose. And so if you happen to know anybody who's been charged with a crime in the state of Arizona, whether it's a minor offense, a major offense, a traffic offense, anything in between, we can help. Things like drugs, DUI, domestic violence, any type of time that you're in trouble with the law, that is really the right time to hire an attorney. And so we can help you clear those cases up, but we can also go back, quash old warrants, restore your rights. So you have a right to vote, a right to possess a firearm, apply for some federal benefits. We can remove mugshots off the internet. We can expunge old marijuana cases. There's a lot we can do to help. Remember, your reputation is one of the most important things that exists in the world. And so we want to make sure that we can help you protect that. So if you need anything like that, we would be honored and humbled if you trusted us enough to send your referrals our direction. We'll take very good care of them. And that is it from me, my friends. I want to thank you once again for being here with us, for joining us on this Wednesday. We're going to be back tomorrow with more Derek Chauvin. Day 21, we're going to see what the government brings. But I want you to be rested and well and energized because we've got a lot more to get into for the rest of the week. And we're going to do it tomorrow at 4 p.m. Arizona time, which is Pacific time. It's going to be 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. out there on the East Coast, Eastern time. And for that one Florida man, everybody have a wonderful evening. Sleep well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.